Somebody start asking questions, I'd like that.
What do they call you, Cat?
Well, I call me Cat because, perhaps because I'm slightly independent from other things or situations that might happen, like today, for instance. I do find myself in this all the time, and it happened all the way through my life, and not only now, but before that in school, I was the same. So I find myself alone. Ask me some nice questions.
Were you surprised by the reaction of the airport yesterday?
Well, I was told about it. I was told there'd be some people, you know, but I was surprised. I felt very nervous, you know, about coming into a scene like that. Slightly frightening, you know. When it happens to you, you can read it in papers, but when it happens to you yourself, it's...
The thing that was said about you by a recent reviewer, whatever could be said about your guitar playing and your lyrics, you could never be said to have a voice. Would you agree with that?
I have a fantastic voice. I know it. I enjoy touring.
You've set yourself a really hectic schedule, a whole world tour. Doesn't this worry you that maybe it's a bit too much to take on? You know, that 4 months of almost a solid touring, that it might sort of weaken you somewhat?
No.
Do you find it stimulating?
Yes, actually.
You
I'll most probably write my next album on this tour.
Kat, you seem such an extraordinarily sensitized person. Is it difficult to reveal yourself constantly to so many people? Why do you have to do this?
I feel an obligation to myself and to people to try and show myself maybe as honestly as I can.
This public acknowledgement of self, does it not take its toll on you physically?
I think it does, but in the long run, it works out that I'm just putting myself on trial for myself.
Do you get a lot of energy with this enormous energy output? Do you receive much back from an audience, much back from people? Or are you constantly giving and they're taking from you?
No, actually, it's completely give and take. The only reason that there are large stars, I think, is because people devote their energy to it. If they didn't, they would never be that large.
About your new group, what have you been trying to do with your new group? You call your new stage act Zimmering. Is each thing a complete thing in itself, each performance?
Obviously, every performance has to be the best, you know, for that particular time. The new group is just an enlargement so that I don't have to keep on switching from piano to guitar, and I can actually play what I played on the record.
Do you hold very tight control within your group?
Absolute.
Do you find you draw enough response from musicians when you work like this to keep such a tight control?
Yeah, I believe it's like any group is like a family unit. I think that's why most people join groups, is because perhaps their family isn't good enough for them, or it doesn't satisfy the family need in them. And so they do get into groups and they get into sects and, you know, progressions like that.
With your new album, can you tell me something about the lyrics on your new album?
The lyrics, I've thought very deeply about the lyrics on this one, just the same as I think I've thought about what I've been saying today. I think it just might be getting clearer so that people might actually start to see the real truth behind what I'm saying.
What were you saying in Tea for the Tillerman and a lot of the songs on Tea for the Tillerman? This was your sort of first public album for a long time.
Yeah. I think I was saying forget materially what you're trying to do. I think that happened mostly in Miles from Nowhere. Forget that, you know, because wherever you're going to go there anyway. So don't be frightened and relax. I think it's mainly a relaxing album, perhaps.
And your new one, what is that, chiefly?
It's to do with simplicity, clarity and simplicity. Even though it might sound bigger in arrangements, it's actually simpler.
You seem in this constant sort of search for simplicity and aloneness, and yet you are in a field, you know, where you can hardly find this, or do you? Do you find you're finding yourself through all of this, through this sort of media trip you're on?
Yeah, I think that's my trip. I've never thought of any other thing that I could do. You know, if I had something else I could do, I would do it. But it happens to be music, and at the time, you know, it's called pop.
Do you mind being classified like that? You're always classified as a pop come folk singer.
I don't mind. I just would hate to be around in 50 years' time when they start listening to the stuff, you know, because I don't want to be branded in any particular time, but then I am. And I have to devote myself to the time.
How can you keep disregarding the past like this? You are a here and now person. But is it not difficult because people constantly remind you of what's just gone before?
Well, I don't really listen to that. I listen to my future more than I do my past. I think my past is what I stand on. My future is what I jump at.
And do you think you're always finding energy to be able to do this?
Absolutely. It's constant energy. It doesn't end. Only unless you're blinded by yourself, then it ends.
But it's this sort of constant high energy output. Do you find stillness along with this?
Well, you can find it if you try. You can't just do it if you don't try. But you do try, and so it comes.
Talking about stillness versus stagnation, have you ever reached many stagnant points throughout your life?
When I have, I've forced myself against it. So it's often work that even in that time I'm struggling and moving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amazing.